How's it going, everyone? This is your Astrology Horoscope for the weekend of July 27th and 28th, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moon Base. Hope you guys are doing great. Good to be here with all of you. As usual, not as of lately, I've had to really focus my attention towards my other work for the past week. Really, for the past month and a half. It's been really overwhelming. So, and of course, big changes in the astrology, big tides have turned. So it is, of course, with Saturn retrograde in Pisces, you got to roll with the tides. You got to roll with the punches. You can't control every moment and every outcome as much as you think you can a lot of the times. And I think one of the most important things of this week, obviously, in the sky is Chiron going retrograde, with Mercury about to go retrograde. And so the moon, as we come into Saturday, is going to cross right over Chiron, right after Chiron goes retrograde. So it's the first time the moon's going to come into contact with this Chiron retrograde. So this is going to bring up a lot of these emotions and a lot of these intense feelings and deep wounds that we've been really focusing on healing and trying to transmute that energy into something amazing and positive and magical, which there are a lot of magical outcomes that are going to be playing out, even when things look crazy with this Jupiter squaring Saturn that's building here. Things may look a little, not normal. Well, things in the world don't look normal at all right now. And that's the thing with Chiron. It's just, especially in Aries, it's just, it doesn't look the way you wanted to, or it's like, I remember as a kid, you would make your Christmas lists, right? And you'd be looking at all the toys and all the magazines, or even being a 90s kid watching Nickelodeon commercials. You'd see the commercials for all the toys and all the cool, crazy shit, and then the commercials look so ridiculous and out of this world, and fucking, the toy looks like it's some real, some real thing. And then you actually get the thing and it's like, it's clearly just a toy, right? But the commercial made it seem like it was the real deal. So this Chiron going retrograde, it kind of brings up those things where, you really had a perception of what you wanted it to be like. And once it actually starts to reveal itself, then you get to see it for what it truly is. And it's not always easy to accept that. So Chiron going retrograde, it's us accepting those things about ourselves, truly. Because we've gone through such an extreme awakening with Chiron since February with the North Node conjunction, and then the eclipses, and then the Mercury retrograde that we had that crossed Chiron. And then Mars crossing Chiron, and Venus. All the personal planets dealing with Chiron. So now that Chiron's retrograde, now we kind of get to, reflect on those things, redo some things, and maybe activating that really, that true healing space that North Node conjunction, sent us off towards. Those eclipses that open those doors towards that more healed space of our identity and our individual being. Now we get to reflect on those things, and maybe things where we kind of put in the effort and maybe overdid it or went off course. Now we get to redirect, redo, relook at those things, relook at those efforts that we put in. And now Mercury's in Virgo and its ruling sign, and it's going to retrograde here just very soon. And then Mercury's building towards the square with Mars. So, we want to be very careful with our words. We don't want to let the kind of intense, crazy, mental, circusy energy that a lot of Mars and Gemini, and, Mars will square Saturn too. After, with Jupiter, not much longer. After Jupiter squares Saturn, Mars is going to follow. So, we want to keep it real with Mercury and Virgo. We want to keep it practical. We want to keep the conversations practical. We don't want to, try to solve a problem, to find a solution, and then, get caught up in the actual details and, the focus and, allowing the distractions to take you out of your focus to actually, apply your mental energy where it needs to go, or where it wants to go, or where you're trying to apply it, So with Mars and Gemini, as fun as it can be, and as much better as it is than Mars and Taurus, that Mars and Taurus transit was a lull. Right? I'm kind of recovering. I'm coming out of it. Mars is only a few degrees off my rising, so I feel like I'm just now waking up. So Mars and Gemini is helping us actually move forward in a more detached way, but also Mercury is like, we got to ground that energy. We have to ground that physical energy and use our minds to actually ground the physical energy that may seem hard to contain or rope in right now, or, the distractions kind of take us into multiple directions. That's Mars and Gemini. It's like every 2 minutes, it's like, oh, I'm going this way. Oh, no, I want to go this way. It's like, okay, so it is being practical and being realistic. This weekend, as Mercury is building up towards that square with Mars, conversations can get really intense, and really aggressive as we're going into next week. And this is Mercury retrograde, Mercury preparing to go retrograde in shadow. So, a lot of the things that are coming up now, I think, are going to be, the conversations are going to be more laid out. There's more things that are playing out at this moment where things come to a head, especially with these squares like this, with Mercury square Mars. And I think the Mercury retrograde, with whatever challenges come up, that Mercury retrograde will help us actually find solutions and, revisit some of these things and revisit some of these issues, and also revisit, some of the things that were unclear during the last Mercury retrograde. Because these Mercury retrogrades are through fire signs, all three of them, all through 24. All through 2024, all the Mercury retrogrades. We had the first one in Aries. Now we're going to have this one that starts in Virgo and then comes back into Leo. And then, of course, we're going to have the Sagittarius Mercury retrograde in December, which will be fucking wild. So this one, it is. It's really looking at reality in a very honest way and discerning what is real. What is fact? What's fiction? What's lies? What's truthful? And also being able to take where our lives have kind of gone by the wayside, or where our physical world or our environment is kind of, we let things go. I think this is a great time with Mercury and Virgo to really look at things. It's so strange that just the other day, because I've been so busy doing other things that I've had to really apply my energy elsewhere and totally direct all of my energy towards that, so I can actually move forward in other areas. And I think it's just so interesting because I just had this feeling, because I grew up in the Midwest. So as a kid, when fall would come on, or when summer or spring, especially fall, though, there's always this feeling. Every time fall would hit, coming into September, really every time Virgo season hit, and there's a certain feeling. Every time we go into late August, September, and October, there's a feeling, there's a vibration. And I honestly haven't looked at the chart much this week, haven't wanted to. I've had to put my mind to other things. And I'm outside. It's pretty hot here in North Hollywood, but I'm like, man, for some reason I'm feeling that sensation of fall. And I'm looking at the chart, I'm like, oh, Mercury just came into Virgo. So, this is tropical astrology. It's about the seasons. It's about the vibration of the seasons, right? It's not about the constellations, right? This is about the seasons. So it is these feelings that we are coming into, that halfway point, that midpoint of the year, and coming into that space, we're going to have a Mercury retrograde to kind of look at the first half of 2024 and be like, okay, that's where we're at. We're coming halfway through the solar new year or the astrological year, right? When we're talking about spring equinox to the fall equinox, that's a halfway point right there. So it is that feeling of fall, that feeling of when the sun or when planets start hitting Virgo. Even though the sun's in Leo season, we're in summer. Like I'm feeling that underlying feeling. Like whenever planets start moving into Virgo, like it really has a distinct vibration for me. I really feel it, and I really noticed it as Mercury came into Virgo here. So, and Venus is at 19 degrees. It's in this weekend. It's going to make in conjunct to Saturn. So there definitely is some gunk in our relationship lives that need to, declutter. There's a block in our romantic life. There is a subconscious block in our romantic life that Saturn this weekend wants to make us aware of, that, if we really want to open those doors to real great pure love and romance and all these beautiful things, like there has to be these blocks, these subconscious blocks that have to be acknowledged, that I think we've kind of buried, and Saturn retrograde is helping us awaken to that. And now this Venus is like, look, I need fun, I need action, I need love, I need romance, I need intimacy. What's the block here? Maybe it's like I just don't feel like I'm connected to anything physical right now. There is this tired energy that can come with Saturn retrograde, especially with Neptune being in the same sign, retrograding at the 29th degree. So these are very faded awakenings, So there's a lot of blocks this weekend in our root chakra area that need to be decluttered. And Saturn is going to be pushing and forcing the situation. And yeah, with this moon in Aries too, it's full speed ahead. It's full speed ahead this weekend. And this moon will come into Taurus on Sunday. So, the vibe will come into a more comfortable space, but that moon will square the sun. So there could definitely be some fixed clashes here with these fixed signs where ego and stubborn energy can kind of clash. And so, we have the sun in its ruler and its ruling sign, and the moon at its exalted point. So the sun and the moon are at their most, some of their most powerful points this weekend. And so there could definitely be a difference of opinions that can be triggering emotionally, and this Mercury in Virgo is helping us discern and, sift through all of the emotions and just be realistic about, okay, well, this is what you said, and because you said this, it made me feel this way, So even when emotions get stubborn or fixed or, it's like, well, I'm right and you're wrong, this and that. At least look at the facts, look at the details, and, look at both sides of things. That's what Mercury really wants to do, And, of course, this sun and its ruling sign and this exalted moon in their fixed, and two fixed signs, always want to be right. So Mercury is helping us look at things in a more objective place, And there might be some details about some of these conflicts that are coming up too, emotionally, that are being overlooked at the moment. There are things that we're not seeing clearly at the moment. And once Mercury goes retrograde and crosses these same spots, the conversations that are going to be had at that time it's going to be like, okay, now I understand why that happened, or why it played out that way, or why you got so upset at me, or why, I was like, I was wrong, So a lot of what's going on this weekend may take a lot of time to resolve, at least through this Mercury retrograde, which, is the next 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks. And by the time it comes out of shadow, that's a whole whole deal here. Over a month. So there can be some things that pop up this week that can be more longer term issues that may take a little bit more time to resolve, which ultimately for a better outcome. And I think too, it's finding balance in our lives with the South Node in Libra, because these eclipses are coming up sooner than we think. Before you know it, we're going to be in eclipse season. So we're only 2 new moon and full moons away from eclipse season. 2 sets. So, it's clearing the baggage, clearing the things that we're holding on to. Anything that does not, help us become a better version of who we are, where we get stuck into other people or we get caught in the baggage of others, or, we're putting our baggage onto other people. It's like these things, if they're not being addressed or resolved or healed, especially with Chiron now going retrograde, or actually putting attention towards that healing. With Chiron, that's enough. It's not just about, okay, I'm healed. It's about the attention towards the healing. It's more about the attention, And it is. Wherever you draw your attention and your focus is what is going to manifest. And that's what is going to create your future. Where you put the energy. Are you going to put your energy into the South Node, which totally throws us off of balance and takes us out of that state of being in that true version of yourself, or actually allowing you to get to know that version of yourself? Because that's what this North Node in Aries has been guiding us towards karmically, and in whatever way is aligned with your destiny. So it is at least focusing that attention towards that healing this weekend. And ultimately, of course, too, with Venus getting ready to square Uranus, yes, there's going to be some massive shakeups in relationships coming into next week. And things that happen during the Venus-Uranus conjunction, now that Venus is at that square point, this conversation goes back to Taurus season of what Venus is going to be going through this next week. So we're going to have Mercury building its square towards Mars. We got Jupiter building its square towards Saturn. We have Jupiter square Saturn. So, and there's a lot of tension that's building right now. August, there's going to be a lot of tension. But of course, with Chiron, it's focusing and putting attention towards that healing, even through the conflict and even through the difficult times, So I think this weekend is going to be a very fated weekend, if I do say so myself. And I feel that way because we're stepping into a Mercury retrograde. We're stepping into this Jupiter square Saturn. We're stepping into Pluto coming back into 29 degrees of Capricorn. So having 2 major outer planets at 29 degrees, everything is fated at this moment. Individually, collectively, wherever you want to put it, right now is a fated moment in our life. A very fated. 2024, I think fate has taken over many times this year. And to me, as the days go by, the more I experience life and whatever, to me, that's how fate and destiny and free will at this moment seems to be playing out. It's a 50-50. It's a give and take. Maybe the South Node is teaching us that, and reminding us that, Saturn and Pisces is definitely teaching us that. But there is a limit to our reality and free will, and we can only do so much. And the rest of it, beyond what we can actually do is up to time and gravity and the lords themselves. So definitely with Pluto coming back into 29 degrees of Capricorn, and of course all the events that have taken place since the Mars-Uranus conjunction, and of course the Capricorn full moons, this is a massive fated moment, not just collectively, in our personal lives. It's like every little thing, the synchronicities that are popping up, that are coming through, I think is very it's extreme, especially with Neptune retrograde too. It's like deja vu. Saturn, Neptune retrograde in Pisces, it's like extreme deja vu. I've been having it more than usual. So we got the Six of Swords. So there is something we have to leave behind with this Chiron retrograde. There's some sort of, stake we need to put in the ground, right? It's like you got to build that protective barrier around yourself to keep what is not good for you or genuine in your life. You do have to protect yourself in a certain way, and you have to protect your spirit, and I think you have to protect your frequency. You can't let the outer world dictate the outcome of you. Like, you have to dictate your surrounding world, as much as we can to our limitations, obviously. But it is like that Six of Swords. It's like it's getting your power back too. In order to get your power back, or in order to gain your power, or to increase your power, you have to be willing to sacrifice, meaning leave something behind. And sometimes you have to take a journey that is maybe not the most comfortable, or you have to, move from one state to another, and I mean mental state, in a more transmutational form. To be able to transmute that energy, there has to be some sort of sacrifice. And, the act of sacrifice is the way through to the other side, to a better life. And, making those decisions in times like these, because there are a lot of difficult choices that are going to have to be made with this Mercury square Mars and Jupiter square Saturn. There's going to be some difficult choices that need to be addressed. Of course, it's Leo season. Venus is in Leo, the sun, and it is about having fun at the end of the day. It's like, we have to compartmentalize. It's like, okay, this is the time of day where I'm going to focus on the tasks. This is where I'm going to do the things that I don't necessarily want to do, okay? And then, at this time of the day, I'm going to experience some good leisure, here in Leo season. I'm going to go sit in the pool or fucking, have some fun. I feel like, too, it's really easy, Saturn and Pisces and a lot of these mutable planets right now, mutable energy in general. It's just like when one thing happens, it's everything, So that's what's great about Capricorn energy. And that's what Saturn teaches us, is compartmentalizing, time. Okay. At this moment, there's a time for this to, and at this moment it's the time for this particular event or thought or place to be. So I think too, going through these moments is, compartmentalization can be very useful, and it's not an easy thing. That's definitely a learned skill. So Saturn right now is wanting to teach us that. And also, too, because with Saturn and Pisces, it's about reality and, the non-physical reality. So being able to be in both worlds, I think, is a big skill as well that I think we could develop, as people trying to evolve spiritually, is to be able to actually be in reality and be in the matrix and play the game, and be in the world as it is set out for us, but also be in that higher vibrational spiritual place. If you're only in that higher vibrational spiritual place, well, you're missing out on life, right? Because life itself, sometimes when you get caught up or you totally tune out of, what's really going on, you can get really disillusioned. So compartmentalization is a big skill and a big lesson. And of course, with Pluto coming back into Capricorn, things are about to get really intense, and this is the final swing. And this is what Saturn and Capricorn teach us, is to compartmentalize our feelings and emotions from our, what must be done. And this weekend, I think, is definitely a weekend that we could benefit from at least applying, that awareness. Because I think compartmentalization starts with awareness. being aware that, oh shit, like I'm fully engulfing myself into this emotion, or I'm fully engulfing myself into this event that took place, right? Then you have no space for anything else. So Saturn is teaching us that, and of course with Chiron going retrograde too, we don't want to fully embody Chiron. We want to be aware of it. We want to work with it, not let those wounds and those feelings and emotions totally just rule and govern us. So anyway, I'm going to stop there. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all next week. Finally, I'm getting through a big, huge wave of work that I've been doing. So, woo! Expect to see me more next week. So, I appreciate all of you for always being here and hanging out with me and sharing the astrology with me, and it's always wonderful. So, I will see you guys next week, and have a great weekend. Peace.